Gone but not forgotten. Injuries have plagued the fantasy football landscape, but we got you covered tonight with our favorite ad stashes and cut candidates. All this and more. It's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fixed this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, and this is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. I am your host, Seth Woolcock, and honestly, not a great day for the kid, folks. I had a business deal fall through earlier, and then I'm out on my bike ride about 3 miles out from home. My chain gives out, so not a great day, but I've been looking forward to talking football with my fine co-hosts all day to bring me back. So cheers to that, folks, and I am joined by our entertainment and NFL gambling sharp here at In Between Media, Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. Steve, what's happening, man?
Not much, man. Didn't get to chill with you last week. Missed you terribly. Missed your whole vibe going on. You're looking good. You're looking tan. You've been outside in the sun on that 3 mile walk back to your house. That's what's been going on.
100%. My legs got a little bit more of a workout than I was expecting today. We're also joined by one of the newest members of the IBT staff as well tonight. This guy has no idea what's coming for him tonight. He's got a sick head of lettuce. He specializes in NFL, PGA, and entertainment content. Jake the Snake Perry, what's up, man? Thanks for jumping on tonight.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for having me. I'm just over here living the dream out here. So
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's got that Iowa sweatshirt on. So it's been a tough life for Jake, I can tell. And Steve, I think we have another person to make fun of their college team and can give you and your Florida State Seminoles, which you're also repping here on the show, a little break.
We need one right now. You know what? It all started with that guy who refused to eat dog shit. So like the curse is still going. So until someone like nuts up and does it, won't be me, but like someone's gotta fall on that sword.
And hey, my main team is Notre Dame, which are arguably not any better. We lost to a MAC team this year, but we're really close to still being, if not currently still, a college football playoff team. So I'm just saying, I may be repping Iowa tonight, but I got literally repping the two states around me and don't own anything from a college in my state that wasn't the ones I worked
Aren't
at.
you from Indiana?
From Illinois.
Okay, Illinois' top 20 program here, man. Come on.
Yeah, they're like 45-point underdogs. They're gonna get walked this week.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. You might be sprinkling on. I might be sprinkling on that money line at least. That's a different program though. Tonight on this program, we're gonna talk in the scope. We'll give you our mainstream waiver wire ads and our favorite stashes to grab for free. We'll also do a little off the top, our cut one game, some fantasy football cut candidates, and then also some entertainment questions. We'll round out the program with From the Forum. We'll take your questions here in the chat and over on the Fantasy Football Advice Network as well. I want to shout out the IBT family for hanging out with us tonight and each week and making us part of your weekly mix. We greatly appreciate it. Looks like we already got some IBT family members rolling through here. Albert saying good evening, IBT. What's up, Albert? Good to see you, man. Michael dropping us some questions already. Good to see you, Michael. Thanks for hopping in. He was in here about 30 minutes before we went live, so appreciate that, Michael. And then Mr. Scampers hanging out saying, good evening, IBT fam. Way to battle through it, Seth. Hey, got to do what you got to do, man. Got to do what you got to do for the program. Appreciate you, Mr. Scampers, as always. Hope it's going well for you. And Mr. Scampers also saying USC also going through it, but hashtag fight on. Yeah, my Penn State Nittany Lions almost let me down against USC a couple weeks ago, but we came out of that one pretty good. So Scampers, fight on, my friend. Fight on.
Lincoln Fraudley is finally showing through.
Every time, man.
He's got to deliver one of these times, or else like he's gonna start just being that guy.
Yes, I think he is already that guy for sure. Let's go ahead though, guys. We are going to jump into things starting with In the Scope. I did want to remind everyone one time that the easiest way to support us, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got a great roster of shows here on the channel between this show, the Back Road, our NASCAR show, our PGA show, the 19th hole, and then Steve, Root Beer and Popcorn, your and Jake's new show as well. I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, no, it's brand new. And we have an episode out there, so we'll be coming to you fairly regularly, probably monthly to start, and then hopefully, as we grow, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we can get that live as well. I think the IBT family would jump in on that for sure. So let's go ahead though, guys. Let's open things up here within the scope.
I have the targets in my sights.
Requesting permission to engage.
In the scope.
All right, in the scope, we are looking at our top mainstream waiver wire targets and some guys you can grab after waivers run here for zero FAAB. I want to start with the mainstream targets, though, specifically at the quarterback position, gentlemen, here. Jared Goff, he has been playing damn near perfect, QB12 on the season. People are starting to say on the internet, should Jared Goff be in the MVP conversation? Sam Darnold for the Vikings. I know there's some Matthew Stafford trade rumors out there today, but I mean, Sam Darnold's been pretty solid. He is just one game worse than quarterback 14 on the season from a fantasy football perspective. Drake May out there as well. He's combined for 40 fantasy points in his last two starts for the Patriots. And then Tua Tagovailoa. He returns this week, hopefully, for the Miami Dolphins. He's the 2024 passing leader. Still was outside of a quarterback one on a points per game basis last year, but was very solid if you needed him to have a good floor each and every week. Jake, who is the quarterback in this group that you're most interested in?
Yeah, it's definitely Goff for me. Just, none of these guys, I do love Drake May, but the schedule for them just gets a little tough, and they still lack a lot of receiving talent in that room there. But I mean, we saw what Goff did against Seattle and Dallas, quarterback 4 both of those weeks. Just the ceiling with him is so high in this offense. It's clicking on all cylinders right now. Everybody's eating. Some people apparently eating the wrong things with Jameson Williams getting his suspension, but otherwise, this offense, like Goff isn't even having to throw the ball a ton to be productive.
It's like 25 attempts every game, man.
Yeah, he's just completing like the last 4 weeks, his lowest completion percentage was 72%. Like he is just putting the ball right where it needs to be every time, letting the guys, make things happen after the catch. And when you can do that this consistently, like I'm surprised Goff is this little rostered in leagues.
Yeah, and we don't really know the status of David Montgomery. He did come back in that game, so we don't think it's a major injury or anything. But I think if he is to miss any time, that just ups the value of Jared Goff as well. Steve, what do you think, man? You're a New England guy. I know you are eating clam chowder on the regular. So are you going with Drake May here?
I actually am, believe it or not. So everyone who's listened to me on this podcast knows I have no love for the Patriots right now. They are a garbage team. They're a garbage franchise right now. We are sorry ass Patriots fans up here. And I'm not really a Patriots fan. I will never claim to be a homer for them. I root for my fantasy team and my fantasy team only.
Fair enough.
But anyone who's seen me on this program knows there's one thing I love above all else when it comes to the quarterback position, and that's people who run the ball. And Drake May is the only one of this group that likes to run the ball. Tua probably should never run the ball again. Let's be real. Jared Goff, if he scrambles on your team, that's just sad. Sam Darnold could scramble a little bit, but he kind of picks and chooses his spots. Drake May's young. He's eager. And let's be real, he has a bunch of janitors out there trying to catch the ball for him. So he's gotta sprint and run for his life. So he's gonna put up the rushing yards. And I'll take that over, 25 attempts out of Jared Goff or Sam Darnold icing out Justin Jefferson in the second half any day.
Yeah, I like the call. I think both of you guys make really compelling cases. I think either way, great to see the quarterback market just really this fluid right now. I think that's the big takeaway is like if you need a quarterback, if you've had someone like Jaden Daniels been riding this season and he's a little banged up with a rib injury, hey, maybe you can look here to the waiver wire and potentially grab someone. Hopefully you weren't playing Deshaun Watson, but hey, he's down as well. Let's move to the running back position. Tyrone Tracy highlights it once again here, still just under 50% rostered on ESPN. Alexander Madison's become the guy in Las Vegas. Zamir White really getting phased out over there in Las Vegas. Jaylen Warren, he's kind of bouncing back with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. He saw a lot less stacked boxes this past weekend with Russell Wilson under center. Ray Davis still just 15% rostered, which doesn't make sense for me. A guy who's going to have a little bit of standalone value here and also one of the best handcuffs in the league to James Cook. Justice Hill, another guy, kind of just if you need a spot start, throw in someone, kind of dog shit at your running back too, might catch a touchdown and might have a couple receptions to at least give you somewhat of a floor. That's Justice Hill. And then Tyler Goodson, he's kind of usurped here Trey Sermon as that handcuff to Jonathan Taylor. So looking at this running back core, Steve, who do you like the most?
You know what? Believe it or not, it's Ray Davis. I think I can't believe I'm saying this because it's kind of nerve-wracking as someone who is a big James Cook fan. Like, we're heading toward a timeshare in Buffalo, and it's happening fast. James Cook has not been terribly efficient. He's got that toe injury. He's probably playing hurt right now, and Ray Davis looks really good. I think of the entire list, the two that I want is Tracy or Davis. Davis is so explosive, and he runs crazy hard. So every time this man touches the ball, it's like something cool happens. So I gotta go with Ray Davis on this one.
Ray Davis was one of my favorite running back prospects of this class. He was a guy who got a ton of buzz after the combine. Teams loved meeting with him. Great feel-good story, too. This dude was homeless, kind of made his way through the NCAA transfer portal, got to Kentucky, had a great second half of his career. So really happy to see what's happened with Ray Davis here this season. Jake, do you like that feel-good story with Davis? Do you like Tracy, who's also come on strong lately? Really looked like, I don't know if Singletary just wasn't 100% healthy this past week, but we saw a ton of Tyrone Tracy out there too. So do you like one of these rookies or someone else on this list?
Yeah, I think the rookies are by far my two favorite here. Tracy being well ahead for me. Singletary's fine. Obviously, like Brian Daboll brought him in, love to use him up in Buffalo, use him a lot in New York. But Tracy is like clearly the more explosive player, like the guy that can go to if they need something big to happen. Plus, when you look on Player Profiler, his best comparable is one of my favorite running backs in Rachaad White. So I just have to love Tyrone Tracy. And I think whoever ends up at running back for Buffalo is going to be good because Joe Brady's run scheme is that good. So I'll never pick Ray Davis over Tyrone Tracy for that reason and that reason alone.
Okay, fair enough. I would also say Alexander Madison, like he needs to be rostered 100% of leagues. I don't know what we're doing with that too. Like there is no more Zamir White. Every time that my favorite player on the Raiders, Dylan Laub, touches the ball, he fumbles it. So he's not getting the ball anytime soon. So like Madison is the guy they're going to. I mean, over 20 attempts again this past week, man. They're really feeding him out there in Vegas. So I like all three of those running backs we mentioned, and like even Goodson, Hill, and Warren should also be rostered. So get them on there. Let's move to the wide receiver position here, where man, big week for wide receiver. Lots of losses here. Brandon Aiyuk out for the season. We're assuming Chris Godwin also likely to be out for the season after his leg was sitting backwards on the field on Monday Night Football. I mean, dude, just some like
rough.
Rough. At first, when I said this on the Fancy Pros reaction stream on Sunday night, but like I felt like when Brandon Aiyuk got hit at first, I was like, man, did his ribs just get shot? And then I saw it again closer. And I was like, oh man, like classic ACL, you know? So regardless, a ton of talent out there right now at the wide receiver position. Jauan Jennings, roster in just 45% of leagues. He's my number one pickup this week. If you need help at the wide receiver position, we don't know the health status of him, but when he is back, he's been good already. He had that 45 burger earlier this season. Romeo Doubs, he should be looked at 37% of leagues. Another just case of this like squeaky wheel getting the oil, 10 targets for him again last week. Steve's favorite guy, Keon Coleman, makes the list. He was dropped in a lot of my leagues, which I play in some pretty deep leagues, and I was surprised to see Keon Coleman dropped after the Amari Cooper news last week. Has his best game of his career, over 100 total yards for him. Jalen McMillan, he's going to be a hot name. This is a talented rookie out of Washington. We need to keep in mind for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, probably going to be playing that X role as Mike Evans is out the next couple weeks, but we'll be seeing the field quite a bit, probably in two wide receiver sets as well. Sterling Shepard, This is a man who I think everybody remembers him from his Giants days. Also used to play at Oklahoma with Baker Mayfield. They have a connection. He'll be playing that slot role likely the rest of the season without Chris Godwin. Dontavian Wicks, probably just have to put him back on his roster. We mentioned his name about 55 times on this program this season. Jalen Tolbert, we mentioned him in the scope earlier this season. Cedric Tillman getting some look for the Browns as well. And then Ricky Pearsall. Steve, you know Ricky Pearsall is a guy I thought was going to break out, drafted him everywhere, and I've dropped him, and I have him nowhere, and I have all the Brandon Aiyuk, so I'm panicking about that one too.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I read it earlier today. Someone made a very good point that the healthiest wide receiver on the San Francisco 49ers was shot earlier this season. So, like, square in the chest. Like, this man is the healthiest wide receiver on the fucking team. But I will give the people what they want, and that is an answer as to who they should be picking up out of this lovely group of...
Jake, do you want to guess who Steve's going to say?
You know, I'm going to guess it's Keon Coleman.
It sure as shit is Keon Coleman, because he never should have been dropped, because I told everybody for weeks, as long as they would listen. And I said it on this program at the start of the season. I said, when we get to week 8, week 9, and this man figures out the NFL and learns how to like adjust and play to that tempo, he's going to have a big game. And then they went and traded for Amari Cooper, and everyone was like, well, that means Keon Coleman's no good. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because I'm looking at it. Amari Cooper is older than me, and I would be considered ancient by NFL terms. And Keon Coleman is a physical specimen. And you know what? Josh Allen was never going to stop using that. It was going to take time. We knew he was a project coming in. If you dropped him early in the season, you deserve to watch him blossom on someone else's team.
Yeah, I'll give you credit, man. You stuck by your guy, and I have wide receiver issues in multiple leagues now after this week, and Keon Coleman's looking pretty good on the waiver wire. I thought one of the funny things from this past week was when Amari looked at him, hey, what am I supposed to run here? And then tells him, hey, just run a streak here, brother, and Amari gets in the end zone there. I'll give Keon Coleman credit, though, Jake. I didn't think he was fast. Like, I kind of thought he was a Treylon Burks guy just based on his combine, kind of what we saw at Florida State as well. But the guy has speed. Do you like him here? Potentially playing, like, I think we'd probably see him more in that flanker role because Amari would probably play the true X in 2 wide receiver sets, maybe sneak into the slot occasionally if Shakir isn't in there. But how do you like this Buffalo pass catcher situation shaking out and the rest of the wide receiver position here on the waiver wire for the mainstream targets?
Yeah, I think bringing in Amari is more of a signal that Dalton Kincaid is not good than it is that Keon Coleman isn't good. I still don't love the way this offense is set up for really any of the pass catchers. The volume is so spread out. They're very run heavy with Brady.
Yeah.
But Coleman should be rostered in way more leagues than that. He's not my favorite on this list, though. That is going to go to Jalen McMillan. So everybody's talking about the fact that Sterling Shepard is going to be used in the slot. He's always been a slot guy, yada, yada, yada. Him and McMillan basically have near identical percentages of slot routes and outside routes used this year. And especially because I think they're going to be the main two, I think we're mostly going to see those two, playing the X and the your flanker Y, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to see Cade Otton in the slot. We're going to see Rashad White. We may see more 2-back sets with White, going out in motion or out in the slot. But I think McMillan also, his biggest knock for most people when he was coming into the NFL was the fact that he ran like 70% of his routes out of the slot in college. So I don't think we can knock Jalen McMillan for his slot ability as well. It could be a situation where for the packages where they want him to be the X, he'll be the X. Sometimes he'll play flanker. He can go inside. I think he's the most versatile receiver on this roster. So I'm predicting McMillan to probably see the biggest boost of any of the wide receivers here that isn't whoever just ends up being the wide receiver 1 for San Francisco.
I mean, Baker Mayfield has been absolutely dealing this season, dude. And like, he's my favorite type of quarterback because he doesn't give a fuck if he's going to throw 5 interceptions. He's just going to keep slinging, dude. Like, we saw that everyone was saying, hey, they were out of that game Monday night. Godwin probably shouldn't have been playing, but I would disagree, man. Like, you're never out of it with the Bake Show.
That's such a bad fucking take. And I'm so over this take, like, already. Like, it's the same thing that people said, like, when they're like, why are you leaving players in the game? Why are you putting them in these situations? Blah, blah, blah. Because that's what they do. It's their job. Like, you can't just roll over and die like what? And with 15 minutes in the fourth quarter, like what are you supposed to do? You know
Also,
what I mean?
like,
I don't care how
these guys
like,
want to be out there. Like they have
wanna be out there.
incentives in their contracts based off of how they perform on the field. Like these dudes will fight to stay in the game. And yeah,
Like,
sometimes you
Chris
have
Godwin,
to be the God.
I doubt Chris Godwin was sitting there saying to Todd Bowles, "Why are you sending me back out there?" He's
Yeah,
like, "Hey, no, get fucked. I'm not sitting down."
He's
a
like, guys,
competitive
we're in
dude.
this.
Like anyone who sits there and says, "Why was he out there?" Has no competitive like nature to them whatsoever. They have never been a competitor in their life because like you cannot tell me that even on your worst day you didn't want to be out on the field playing, trying to get back in the game.
Yeah, I think it's different if it's a 4 or 5 score game, if you're totally out of it, but they weren't out of that game on Monday night. So, yeah, I think it's a great conversation. And the opposite end of that was Saquon, who Nick Sirianni asked him, "Hey, do you want to go back in and set your career high? If you want to, I'll send you back in there." He said, "No, let the young guys eat." So that was kind of like the inverse of that. You don't see that a lot, though, Steve. You are right. No. Like normally you would think like Saquon just wants to dunk on the Giants, but Saquon's a classy guy. He's from Pennsylvania. What do you expect? But here in the chat, catching up with a couple of things. We have Michael saying, couldn't wait for you guys' top-notch content. We appreciate that, Michael. Thanks so much, man. Also saying he acquired May in a Superflex Dynasty trade a couple weeks ago and loving it. I like that. I like that trade a lot there for you, Michael. Blue Yace, I'm seeing you got a question for us, man. We'll get to this here just a little bit later in the show from the forum. Keep on hanging out with us. We appreciate, though. Thanks for tuning in tonight, buddy. Also, Scamper saying it's time for Chris Conley to shine. I'll be honest, Chris Conley is a guy who's been passed around more than more things than I can say. Let's just say that. Like Chris Conley's been passed around. I mean, how many NFL teams has this guy been on? Jake, 10?
I'm literally Googling it because I feel like 10
Ryan
might be
Fitzpatrick
low
of
somehow.
wide receivers.
Oh my dude, it's probably 9. It's probably not,
Only 6. Only 6.
Okay.
And actually no, 5 because he was on the Chiefs twice.
Okay. All right. So this let's just say this guy's got fucking Cube or U-Haul someone on speed dial for sure because he's moving around.
For sure.
All right. All right. Let's go ahead though. Tight end position quickly here before we get to the end of the scope targets. I don't think we have to spend a ton of time on the tight ends, but I mean, you got K-Dot and you got Hunter Henry, you got Noah Fant out there. I know Steve hates Hunter Henry. Can you trust him now after his third good game, Steve? No.
Listen, there are days that your ex is a good person, right? We all have those days where you look at them and go, "Oh, maybe you've changed." They haven't. They haven't changed. They never change. And not for nothing, but my ex is from Pennsylvania. So I have a little qualm with that state right now. But Hunter Henry has hurt me worse than my ex ever has. And he's done it year after year after year. So please, I beg of you, don't waste your time.
I like Kate Auden.
You're young,
here.
You're hot. You're a commodity. Go get laid by someone else. Plenty of people will fuck you over just as well.
I like Kate Auden here, Jake. If we're looking at the tight end position, I think he's a guy who is probably also going to see a boost now without Mike Evans, at least until probably after their week 11 bye, and no Chris Godwin here for presumably the rest of the regular season as well.
Yeah, I think Auden sees a boost. I don't think he's very good. So that I'm never going to be in on Chris Auden. I'm actually the complete opposite of Steve here. I'm all in on Hunter Henry. Ever since Drake May became the quarterback in New England, there are 3 tight ends in football who've scored more points than Hunter Henry. I'm riding and dying.
A shit show.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Brock Bowers, Mark Andrews, George Kittle. The only ones who've scored more than Hunter Henry.
How many points is that? Can I ask that?
Yeah, he's at 12.4 half PPR points per game, 24.8 points.
That's not bad. How many of those came in one game though? It had to be a shit ton, right?
11.6. 11.6 in week 6, 13.2 in week 7.
Okay.
It's pretty balanced. It's not gonna be like a Cole Kmet random 20 bomb with Hunter Henry in there. But if he's gonna get me 10 points, I'm gonna take those 10 points, especially this year in tight end, and I'm just gonna be happy.
Yeah, and when you think about it, like we have Demario Douglas, who's been a little bit of a target hog. And then outside of that, it hasn't been a lot of great wide receiver production. We saw Booty get the touchdown a couple weeks ago here. We've seen spurts from the rookie in that pass catching group as well. But yeah, it's like Hunter Henry's one of the most reliable targets, and rookies do like to rely on their tight ends. So it does make some sense. Like, I don't think I'm fully in with Hunter Henry, but if I need a guy, I might need a guy. Let's turn the page no matter what, though. Let's get to the in the scope targets. Steve, I'm gonna throw it right back to you, man. Who's someone that you like here that we can pick up after waivers run for 0 FAABs? Maybe he's the hot stash this week, but he could be the top waiver wire ad next week.
Yeah, I'm actually sticking with the tight end position. I'm going Jonnu Smith. I think he has always been someone to me that is such an anomaly, right? Like, he's so, like, he's an enigma. I don't know why he doesn't put up monster like stats year over year over year, because he's really, really, really athletic.
Yeah.
And like, for some reason, just is never the focal point of an offense. And I'm like, we finally got to see him kind of get used that way a little bit this week. We saw like a tight end screen. He took it for a touchdown. He looked good. This season, he's kind of come alive a little bit with the Dolphins. I like Jonnu Smith as that like 0 FAAB tight end that can go in. He'll, he can get you that run after catch points. He's not he's not really running through mud or anything like that. He's pretty fast. He's elusive. It's kind of nice to have someone like Jonnu Smith on your team.
I don't hate the Jonnu Smith call. And I mean, isn't it crazy, Jake, that he's literally been like almost like the most reliable pass catching option in this offense over the last month, which is just terrible to say.
Singh is the only person in the world who's a bigger Jonnu Smith fan than me is his mom. I'm not surprised by it at all. I spent all offseason advocating for him. He's basically George Kittle, but cheaper. So, I mean, last year, the only person with more yak per reception than him was George Kittle. Like, the guy is flat out good when he gets the ball in his hands. And that's what this offense is built on. His target rate is, top 8 amongst tight ends. Like, when the dude is on the field and gets the opportunity, he always produces. I mean, we even saw it last year in Atlanta. Like, there was most of the season, Jonnu was the better option compared to Kyle Pitts. Like, it's the dude's skill set is so good. Teams just don't want him to block for whatever reason. And so they take him off the field for blocking opportunities, and then broken plays turn into receptions for whoever's replacing him. But like, he can block better than half the tight ends in football. Keep Jonnu out there 100% of the snaps. He can do it. Trust.
I believe.
I think the belief in Jonnu is very fair. I think what Michael says here is, can we trust him to get regular targets here when McDaniels can't even get Hill and Waddle the ball these last couple weeks? With Tua coming back, the volume of the overall offense is going up. They've had such few plays. If you look at their plays per game, it's near the bottom of the NFL the past month. Like, that is because they can't sustain drives. Like, and I think now, like, it is the question mark, will he get the targets? But if he does get the targets, he could be a potential guy you grab after waivers. So I like the call there, Steve. Jake, I'm going to throw it over to you, man. Who is your in the scope candidate for week number 8 of the fantasy football season?
Yeah, I'm going with Jameis Winston here. We love Jameis in these parts. We all love Jameis. Everybody loves Jameis, right? Dude is just a walking meme in the best way possible. But what other quarterback are we looking at on this waiver wire that we could just randomly see thrown for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns in a week? He may follow it up with 120 and 5 picks, but it's going to be fun. And the worst thing about fantasy football is when we just pick up a guy and we have to plug him into our lineups, and then we watch him play and we're like, nah, it was fine. You're going to love every second of yourself watching Jameis play football, whether he throws for those 500 yards or throw those 5 picks. Plus, Cleveland's been throwing the ball a lot. Deshaun Watson has been flat out bad.
Yeah.
The best stretch of quarterback play we've seen out of any Cleveland quarterback this year was Winston when he got in the game last week. DTR is hurt. We've also seen him play football, mostly poorly. But we've seen good football out of Jameis. We've seen fun football out of Jameis. So why not have some fun with our waiver wire pickups, guys?
I hope, regardless of health, they just stick with Jameis. I think it would be a much better team. I get they might want to play the younger guy in DTR, see what they have here, especially with Watson's Achilles injury. But I like the call here with Jameis. I think especially, like, he should be a priority in super flex leagues, and in one quarterback leagues, no one's talking about him this week, but he really could be a guy who goes off and you want to acquire, but I guess the one question for me would just be, does he have the weapons? Does he have the weapons without Amari
It doesn't
Cooper?
matter. That's the crazy thing, is it doesn't matter. It flat out doesn't matter. Like, he threw a touchdown last week that only Jameis Winston would have thrown. In the entire NFL, there was one quarterback and one quarterback only who would have thrown that touchdown, and it was him, because there was no reason to throw the ball to where he did.
Yeah.
Like, the man was being face guarded, standing at the back of the end zone with no room, and he just kind of went, fuck it, and just fired a bullet, and Njoku went and got it. Like, honestly, pick up Jerry Jeudy, pick up
Elijah
David
Moore, Cedric
Njoku,
Tillman.
Elijah, pick them all up. Like, honestly, because everybody's going to eat now, because Jameis Winston doesn't know how to, like, play the game any other way than, like, fuck it, someone's down there, and just start bombing.
I just hope they stick with him, man. I really do.
They will.
Him and Baker have that same moxie that's just like the epitome of, they walk on the field and they're like, fuck it, we ball.
Yeah. No, it really is like, listen, at this point, if Stefanski doesn't start Jameis Winston, that the fans will burn that stadium to the ground. Like, they are ready. They have suffered long enough. DTR is not the guy that they want to see rolled out there. They want Jameis. They want to be eating some dubs and going crazy. So, like, let's fucking go. Let's have some fun, right? Like, Cleveland deserves it. Oh, like the franchise doesn't, but the fans do, right?
Yeah,
like, and I feel bad for them.
That's true. That is true. And it has been a tough fantasy football season, so I will take joy where I can find joy, and Jameis Winston is pure joy, Jake. I like the call, my friend.
There we go.
Also, Michael in the chat, I think this is a really good in the scope candidate as well. Jatavion Sanders is a cheap, ready to be top 12 to 15 tight end weekly. He's had some good stat lines here the past 2 weeks. Sanders, I brought him up on Sunday night as well, and I think he's a guy, like, if it's still Andy Dalton, I'm interested. If it's Bryce Young, miss me on it, but he has seen expanded targets these past couple of weeks. We have seen some injuries in that Carolina tight end room, so just something to keep in mind. Hopefully they don't all get healthy and then kind of take away from Sanders here. Tommy Tremble, I know, has been dealing with a couple of different injuries so far this season, but I like the call no matter what there. We got Scampers saying the Dolphins are one of 3 teams to not score double-digit touchdowns on the season. They have 6. The offense cannot be more anemic. It'll get turned around, man. Tua is a weapon. And I think people are realizing how good Tua is for this offense now as well. Michael saying, I think Mike Williams goes to KC. He will be a hot waiver wire ad. I've also heard Pittsburgh is on the phone with him as well, which I don't think you'd be as...
Don't pick up Mike Williams under any circumstance. He's just going to hurt you too. He's Hunter Henry of wide receivers. He's bad.
I just don't trust him to stay healthy. I think that's why I want to...
Yeah.
He can't play.
I was going to say, he's not only going to hurt you, he's going to hurt himself.
Yes.
He's not good.
The fact he didn't re-tear his ACL when he was going back, like slipped and had to dive for that ball that Rodgers threw him.
Yes.
Yeah. He's not good.
Absolutely.
Don't pick him up.
Absolutely. Ben in the chat saying Jameis Winston is the weapon himself.
He gets it. He gets it.
I love it, man. I love it.
I was at Florida State when Jameis Winston was the quarterback, right? So, like, I was
Did you go to the same grocery store that he stole the crab legs from?
Yeah, I actually did. So that's actually a funny story. Like, we got the inside scoop from the workers, like, as to what happened. I won't share it on air because I don't know.
No, it's okay. That's okay. Listen, man.
I don't know.
Listen,
all I know is I worked at a restaurant. I tried to give the man free ranch dressing, which was like 50 cents, and he refused it. So I'm really having a hard time believing that he's out there, like, robbing people.
This was all before NIL too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you kind of feel bad, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, hey, listen, the ranch, like, you're all set. He's like, oh no, I have to pay for it, otherwise, like, we could get in trouble. I'm like, all right, so it's that strict. There was other things that I was like, maybe it's not quite that strict, but nonetheless, like, you know.
Yeah, I feel you. There. We got Kush hanging out with us. What's up, Kush? Good to see you, man. And then Waller checking in as well. Waller, we're going to get to your questions here just a little bit later in the show, man. Keep hanging out with us. We got a whole section planned for it later on. Appreciate you and also David hanging out with us. David asking a waiver wire question, specifically saying, should I go ahead and snatch McMillan off waivers? Absolutely. We just talked about him. Jake said about 10 minutes ago, if you want to rewind his thoughts on McMillan, he likes him a lot. He can play the slot, as Jake alluded to, as well as that X position. So like that as well. Michael saying, my girlfriend is a big Knowles fan and is going out of her mind this year. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough scene.
But I saw my favorite meme of all time, and it had to do with making fun of DJU. So
what was it? What meme?
It was the Jonah Hill whiteboard thing from Moneyball.
Okay.
And it was like, this is DJ Ukulele.
Yes.
He was built like a linebacker, moves like a gazelle, and has the heart of a lion. His only problem is the forward pass was invented in 1907.
I saw that one. I sent it to my friends and stuff. My boyfriend he went to Boston College, so that was rough. We that almost killed our relationship right then and there. I was almost single after that. I don't know if I don't know how he's not a huge football guy, but you know what? Like still that sucks.
1-6, Steve. It's been a tough road for you, my friend.
It's been tough for the kid.
Hey, I got the Miami over though. I got the Miami over this weekend.
We're coming. We got heart. We're fighting.
I just need 7 points from them. Miami can do the rest. That's all I need. I'll go ahead and round us out here though with my in the scope target for this week. It is Adam Thielen of the Carolina Panthers. He has missed the four requisite games that he needed on IR to come back. He has missed those. He said he'll play very soon here. He's opening up the 21-day practice window this week. This is super speculative. I get it. I get the eye rolls from Steve and Jake. I totally understand. But I think that he could be moved.
Thielen. I didn't mean to roll my eyes. I apologize.
No.
I meant to roll my eyes. I don't apologize.
I think he might be moved before the trade deadline. And there are a few teams.
What? A new ball machine?
I think
who the fuck wants Adam Thielen?
The Panthers need all the help they can get. A 5th round pick could get them back to a 500
Adam
football
Thielen
team.
is so old that there are local funeral homes prepping. Like
I think the Bengals actually would. Bengals are a team that would need a new ball machine or a new soda machine over in that facility. I don't know how the Panthers facilities are, but regardless, like there are teams out there that need a slot wide receiver of his caliber. I can think of 3 right off the dome: the Buccaneers, the Steelers, the Chiefs. Like those, I think would all be good fits for him. And not only is he potentially a good fit somewhere else, like he was the PPR wide receiver 17 in Carolina last season, boys. And as a wide receiver previously, the 2 years before with the Vikings as well, like I think he still has some juice. I get he's 34. Deontay Johnson's there now as well, as is rookie Xavier Legette. But in Thielen's one game with Andy Dalton last season, Steve, 14 targets, 11 receptions, 145 yards, and a touchdown, 31.5 PPR points, wide receiver 3 on the week. That is his one game he has played with Andy Dalton in his career. One game, and it was a wide receiver one.
Steve, I'm going to make you care. So when I was doing the sleeper show that I do over on the JWB channel, I picked DJ Chark as a sleeper wide receiver for that week because it was Andy Dalton's first start, his one start with Thielen. I said, watch what's going to happen here. I picked Thielen because when Thielen was the 1, DJ Chark was the 2, and DJ Chark had a good game, which never happens. So that's, it's just a Dalton thing. And then when Deontay was the wide receiver 1, had almost like to the yard, almost identical line as Thielen had in that game. And Thielen had almost an identical stat line to what DJ Chark had in that game. Andy Dalton is the kingmaker.
I don't care what he did last year with Andy Dalton. I don't care what he did too. Joe Flacco's still in the league. We're gonna go sign Steve Smith off the fucking set of whatever show he's talking on because he had a good time with Joe Flacco. Who gives a fuck? Like that doesn't mean anything.
I don't know. I like him. And like the thing I like about him specifically is if you pick him up right now in most formats, Adam Thielen, and you have an IR spot, you can throw him in your IR until he's ready to come back. So if he doesn't play this week or the next week, you have him for when he's ready to go. The Panthers need someone like him right now. They can't move the ball through the air consistently. It's been a struggle. Andy Dalton's been struggling the past 2 weeks. He needs Adam Thielen out there. So
someone other than Andy Dalton and Bryce Young. This isn't a wide receiver issue. They got talent. Jonathan Mingo's like their 4th wide receiver, and he's plenty good to be a 4th wide receiver. This is not a pass catcher issue. This is not a pass catcher issue. This is Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton, and he's an old Andy Dalton at that. And Bryce Young is about 2 inches shorter than me and can't see over his offensive line. Like this is a very simple problem that Carolina has. They are shit at the quarterback position.
They're also pretty bad. Literally, Jonathan Mingo and Xavier Legette are my 2 lowest graded wide receivers ever since I started grading prospects. I think it is just purely a talent issue outside of Deontay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. Michael saying Thielen or Conley, who's older? I think Thielen's 34. I don't know how old Chris Conley is, but he's got to be old as well. Michael,
32.
32. Okay. Michael also saying Troy Franklin is my top in the scope pick. He's starting to connect with his college quarterback and is much cheaper than Ricky Pearsall, McMillan, and Jennings. That's a good shout out, Michael. I think that's a really good shout out. I think Troy Franklin is another guy out of Oregon who is coming on strong here, back-to-back games with 10 plus PPR points as well, leading the Broncos in targets in that span as well. So good on you, Michael. We appreciate it, man. Here's what we're going to do. We were going to get into off the top. We have a ton of questions coming in from some new faces that I want to get to those first. So let's go ahead and open those up here in from the forum, sponsored by the Fantasy Football Advice Network.
If you're up, start thinking about what to do. Here in between, we got advice for you. Back and forth all day, trying to pick the play. Let's hear what them boys here had to say. Presented by the Fantasy Football Advice Network.
All right, here we go, guys. We're going to start out the questions towards the top here. Blue Yaves was the first one in, saying trade Jacobs for more plus an 8th round pick in redraft. I've still got Kamara, Hunt, Pacheco, Hubbard, Bigsby, but he needs a wide receiver. Now he has Kupp, Reed, and more at wide receiver. What do you think about this, Steve?
Yeah, I like it. DJ Moore is really coming alive at this point. I'm assuming it's DJ Moore, right? Like,
yeah.
Is more like, so yeah. I mean, he's coming alive. Him and Caleb Williams have a good, connection. Josh Jacobs looks good, but not anything spectacular. Nothing you can write home about. He did just break his streak as the longest, like the most receptions of all time without a touchdown. Congratulations, Josh Jacobs. You got yours. But yeah, DJ Moore plus an 8th plus a pick. I'll take that all day for Josh Jacobs.
I think it's good value. I imagine this is some type of like keeper league or something, or maybe just a redraft you can trade picks in, which is really cool. I think that's an awesome format. I'm just worried about his depth a little bit here, Jake. That would be my only thing with giving up someone like Josh Jacobs. He has Kamara, he has Hunt, but Pacheco is injured still. We don't know how long Hubbard's going to be a thing or Bigsby. Do you like this trade as well?
I do. I'm completely fine being thin at running back. We're always going to find people that we can spot start at running back. So I'd much rather have, a solid wide receiver room and be a little bit thinner at running back. In redraft, weirdly enough, my best dynasty teams this year are the ones I'm deepest at running back. Don't quite know how that happened, but here we are. But in redraft, there's always spot start opportunities, especially if you're in a shallower league where there's just, an excess of guys on waivers that typically aren't there. I'm completely fine with it. Plus, I think he gets a boost this year. And obviously getting an extra pick next year, you can get creative. You don't even have to keep that 8th round pick. You can go trade that and tank Bigsby off a huge game and probably get yourself like a DeAndre Swift, James Conner type.
Yeah, honestly, too, like I almost think more for Jacobs is almost pretty fair as is. So, I think you're making out like a bandit there, Blue Yays. Good on you, buddy. Thanks for tuning into the program tonight. Hope you subscribe and come back and hang out with us again. I want to get to Waller Hicks's question here. Jauan Jennings or Waddle to start in his flex. He has Chase and Kupp starting as his wide receiver 1 and 2. But he is worried about that third option here between these two. Jauan Jennings and Waddle. Trying to think who Miami. We got matchups pulled up there. Anyone right off the top there?
Yeah, I can get.
I don't have it. Sorry,
but it's Jauan Jennings. I don't think Tua is back this week.
Tua is not back this week. What?
I don't think so. I don't think he's playing.
I think he's tracking to play.
Oh, okay then. They get the Cardinals.
Okay.
And Kansas City San Francisco, I want to say, has Dallas.
Yep,
it doesn't matter. If Tua plays, you're starting Jalen Waddle. Stop it. Jauan Jennings has had one good game. Stop.
And Ricky Pearsall wasn't active then. With Pearsall being active now, like it may not be the Jauan Jennings show like it was previously.
That was like a once in a blue moon kind of game for a guy like that.
Here's the thing, though. We do have Kittle banged up. We do have Debo, who's in the hospital with pneumonia-like symptoms. So if Debo's out, if CMC's out, like I think Jennings is Jennings is healthy. I think Jennings is safer. Waddle might have more
hip
upside.
issue though. He's got that nagging little hip issue. That could be a problem. Like, but Jalen Waddle is like a 75-yard touchdown waiting to happen. I mean, you just don't get that out of Jauan Jennings. If Tua plays, he's going to want to go out and ball out, right? Like he's not going to come out like soft. He's going to come out. He's going to start slinging the ball to his guys because Tyreek and Jalen Waddle have had basically 4 straight weeks off. Because they've caught a collective like 15 passes in 4 weeks. So, like, why would you say? I think we forget how good Jalen Waddle actually is. Like, he is legit. So, miss me with the Jauan Jennings comp.
Okay. Michael asking, what's good value for Rashee Rice in a Superflex startup of a dynasty league? He's been offered Javonte Williams.
No, just keep Rice for that.
Yeah, I
wouldn't even talk to that person again after that.
Saying that he kind of wants Bijan for him straight. I don't think you're going to get Bijan from him.
No.
You would definitely have to put in, even if they are both healthy, I think you're still putting in something with Rashee Rice there. So, like, what is good value for Rashee Rice? Like, if you're like, I'm not selling Rashee Rice right now. I think is that like the
multiple firsts, or in a good player. Like, don't sell Rashee Rice. His value will never be lower.
Yeah,
multiple firsts for you, Jake. Like that's.
I wouldn't go that far to multiple first, but I'd want at least like a projected early first. If I were to move him, I'd be looking to move him to like the last place team who just wants to get points off of and see if they have any talented wide receivers that just wants to get points off their roster to, secure that top pick, but also try and get one of their top picks on top of it. I think you're just in a spot where you're just holding him. Especially, I see he added in the chat, he's 13-1. Yeah, just hold Rice. You don't.
Yeah,
trying to get a piece for him right now is not the move.
Okay. Thoughts on Rico Dowdle this week, gentlemen?
Never Rico Dowdle.
Never Rico Dowdle.
Never. He's not good.
He's not good, but you don't have to be good to score fantasy points when you have a role, especially in what we think is a decent offense, like a top.
We thought it was.
But you're playing San Francisco. I'm not.
It's that running game's a mess. That running game is a mess. He's not good. Not Rico Dowdle.
He's a flex to me. He's a flex or a spot RB2 if you're struggling. Like that's kind of where he is.
If you're struggling. That's a struggle.
I mean, look at some of my teams, bro. I'm firing up Rico Dowdle. I'm okay with it. And trust
some
me,
of us know how to draft.
Well, I took Zeke Elliott in a bunch of drafts. So what's that tell you? Keep the questions coming, guys. We appreciate them, and also appreciate the Fantasy Football Advice Network as always for powering this segment. You can check them out at fantasyfootballadvice.com or the Fantasy Sports Network app. Michael is over there on the Fantasy Sports Network app at Fantasy Meatball. Make sure you guys are connecting with Michael and everyone a part of the great community over there. Let's go ahead, though. We're going to get back to our regular scheduled programming here with a segment we like to call a little off the top. If I can find it. There we go.
Just a little off the top. Ain't talking about a fade or a crop. Steady hand, know when to stop. Just a little off the top. Whoa, easy now.
I apologize for my production's been a little slow tonight. I'm trying to host, also run the back end. Usually I have our guy Kyle Scott, everyone's favorite Yinzer Ginger, as Steve alluded to him earlier in the program. But he's out tonight. He's got a little work function going on. So hopefully he's joining a couple icy lights for us tonight. But wanted to apologize about the sloppiness on that as well. Let's go ahead, though. I want to get into some cut candidates for us for fantasy football purposes. Then we'll get some entertainment style questions as well. Cut one quarterback here, gentlemen. It is Justin Fields, Brock Purdy, or Anthony Richardson. Justin Fields, he's no longer the starter. Everyone in Pittsburgh is singing Russell Wilson's praises after that Sunday night football game. Quarterback 9 on points per game basis, though, isn't going to be a guy you can put in your lineup anytime soon, it seems like, but is he someone worth hanging on to? We also have Brock Purdy, quarterback 14 on points per game basis. Will be without Brandon Aiyuk for the rest of the season. We already mentioned as well, CMC not playing this week. We don't know about Debo. Kittle, Jauan Jennings also banged up. could be thrown to Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall this week. And Anthony Richardson, man, the chosen one. I thought a couple of years ago, he's quarterback 28 on a points per game basis. Jake, who you cutting here?
Yeah, I would love to just cut Anthony Richardson here. Fields is like the obvious choice here, but I don't imagine Anthony Richardson really gaining any relevance this year. He in my mind, it's pretty clear he doesn't have it. He cannot read defenses. He cannot complete the easy throws. He just struggles in every
like
level.
20 games in the last 5 years. You know what I mean?
I get it, but at the same time, I just can't. I can't justify it. Like, if there's anybody else who still believes in him, I'm just trying to sell. I'm praying for one good game and just trying to sell at that point. But it's Richardson for me. I just trust the other two, much more consistently to lead an NFL offense.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it, Steve?
I'm cutting Brock Purdy. I am again. I'm going to stand on my love of running quarterbacks. We need to have a chat, Mr. Pittsburgh, about Russell Wilson.
Dude, no, trust me. I've been the one guy.
Everyone is sitting there singing his praises about that. Bro, that man underthrew every pass he threw. They were bouncing off defenders, landing in his wide receiver's hands. He underthrew a screen pass by 5 yards. Listen, this is going to be a very short-lived experiment. I do not expect Russell Wilson to hold on to that starting job for too long, because eventually it's going to show. Defenses are going to stop playing over the top because he can't make the throw deep enough anymore, and he's going to start getting picked off left and right. They had a really good game. In a game that, frankly, I thought they were outplayed in. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of weird bounces and missed tackle. It was just kind of ugly. So, balls bouncing off Garrett Wilson's chest and shit like that. It was just a mess overall. So I don't see Russell Wilson being much of anything. Justin Fields will be a starter again this year, or I'll take the risk on it. Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy, right? He's going to be like the QB 15 every single week and never do anything spectacular. Why bother having him?
Yeah, I think you do have to cut Fields just if he's not starting. It's hard to roster a backup quarterback who's not even playing, but I am with you in that camp, Steve. I don't think Russell Wilson did a shit ton in that game. The Steelers defense set him up in plus territory multiple times. Kind of just a weird game overall. Didn't look good in the first half at all. Honestly, I was actually a little peeved off, just because I didn't want them to make the switch. And we have heard that Mike Tomlin was kind of acting as a rogue agent here and was the one who made this decision, even though not everyone agreed with it in his camp. I wonder if that was Arthur Smith. Maybe that was the owner. We're not totally sure. Either way, though, I think you are probably cutting Justin Fields. But I think, bottom line here, boys, we made arguments. You could cut in a couple weeks here. We could be cutting Brock Purdy or Anthony Richardson if things don't go well and turn around there in Indianapolis for AR5, as Daniel's alluding to him here, or if Brock Purdy can't get together with the backup weapons either. So I think we named all four of those quarterbacks we named and in the scope. I think we'd rather have than these guys at this point. Is that kind of where we're at?
Yeah,
maybe not Tua for me, just because concussions. But otherwise,
true. True.
I'm still an Anthony Richardson believer. I won't lie. I still like him. I think he's a good talent. I think he just needs to get
he runs too. He runs,
but he needs to play. That's the thing. If he needs to play, he needs to get that experience.
Between Richardson and Purdy, I would cut Purdy before Richardson. What about you, Jake?
I'm cutting Richardson.
Okay. All right. Let us know in the chat, guys. Seen a lot of different opinions on it. Greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move to running backs here. Cut one running back. Trey Sermon, Tyjae Spears, or Tyler Allgeier. Sermon has been somewhat surpassed here as the Jonathan Taylor handcuff. He did still see 9 touches, though. Still saw over 50% of the snaps here this past week. Goodson did see 14 touches, though, to Sermon's 9. Tyjae Spears, RB46 on a points per game basis, and was seeing roughly 40% of the snaps in what has been a terrible offense there. That was before he was injured, and Tony Pollard has been really good. Except, honestly, fuck Tony Pollard. Dude, want to hear about a bad beat? Tony Pollard at halftime, 69 rushing yards. I have the over 70, absolutely hammered, 4 units down on. I said, this is my bet of the week in the NFL. He finishes with 61. He loses 8 rushing yards in the second half. So
that has to be the worst beat of all, one of the worst beats of all time.
I couldn't believe it. So kind of fuck Tony Pollard, but I am a Tyjae Spears lover, so I do say that with a little bit of bias there. Tyler Allgeier, RB 44 on a points per game basis. He does have 2 performances over 10 PPR points, but 4 games under 6 points as well. Who you cutting here, Jake?
It's Trey Sermon. He's the main player on this list that is just really bad at the sport that he is employed to play. So I wouldn't roster him in the first place, but I'm cutting him just out of principle that he is not good.
What about you, Steve?
Same. Yeah, it's Trey Sermon. I don't really know. I don't have much to add other than what Jake already said. I mean, you're getting lapped by some guy that, like, frankly, NFL defenses are like, who? Like, when he comes on the field. Yeah. I mean, and now Jonathan Taylor's back, so they're both useless. Like, Jonathan Taylor's going to be the bell cow again. So,
man,
bye, Trey.
I remember the good days of Trey Sermon at Ohio State, highly touted prospect coming out. A lot of love for him with the 49ers.
Slow running backs. If you're a slow running back, you are a useless running back.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. He is a bit slow, but he actually looked somewhat better than Goodson this past week in multiple.
He's a thumper. He'll get you 3 yards, but he can't break away. It's just he can't get past the linebackers, and that's at this level.
Had a nice reception. I was at least happy to say that, but I think if you have Jonathan Taylor, keep Sermon, and someone else has Goodson, and Goodson is rostered, keep Sermon on your roster. But I think aside from that, you can cut him. And honestly, like, I'm at the point, and I love Tyjae Spears, guys, but I'm at the point I'm okay with cutting him too. Like, I just don't.
You could cut everyone in the Titans offense and not miss them except for Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I absolutely. And let's talk about that here. Cut one wide receiver, boys. DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Watson, or Odunze. Wide receiver 75, Nuke in that tight end or Tennessee Titans offense here. I mean, what can you say else other than he scored under 2 PPR points in 3 games? It's been atrocious for Nuke. Christian Watson also on this list. He's wide receiver 80 on a points per game basis. Also has under 2 PPR points in 3 different games as well. Odunze, not a ton better. He does have the bye, though, to factor in there. Wide receiver 67 on a points per game basis. Has scored double-digit points just once this season. That was without Keenan Allen in week 3, where he scored 23 points. So, obviously probably has the higher ceiling at this point. Better offense, it looks like, than at least Nuke is in. Christian Watson sharing with 3 other guys, but he is on a team with a guy who Eric told us last week, Jordan Love right now, if he played all 17 games, was on pace to have over 50 passing touchdowns. Like, he's averaging over 3 per game. It's an insane pace. With that being said, Steve, do you back Christian Watson? Do you keep him for that touchdown upside? Do you drop Nuke? What are you thinking here? Are you cutting? And you can only cut one. You can't cut all of them.
I know. We should really send them all, fire them all into the sun. But it's I hate to say it because I love DeAndre Hopkins, but it's DeAndre Hopkins. Because the problem is no one's coming to save the pass catchers in Tennessee. It's not a them problem. This is much like a Carolina problem, is that their quarterbacks suck. And that's unfortunate because I was actually a Will Levis believer. Not like that I thought he was going to be all world or anything like that, but I thought he would be competent. The fact that he's so wildly incompetent is crazy to me. And then you knew it wasn't going to get any better with Mason Rudolph. That was not going to be.
I thought it was, man. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. That's my guy.
And he sucks. He hasn't, honestly, the most impactful thing he's ever done in his NFL career is be bonked on the head by Myles Garrett. So, this man is not,
Hey, he got us to the playoffs last year, my friend. We were in dire straits, and he wheeled us to the playoffs. So,
yeah.
I got a little love for Mason.
A corpse could have gotten you to the playoffs, though. Listen, it's not going to be any better. It's not going to be pretty. DeAndre Hopkins, if he gets... The only reason I'd hold him is because they may trade him.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's a good point. I would probably pick Watson then. Are you Watson then, Steve? Probably.
I'd be Watson if that's what you're waiting for.
How do you feel about it, Jake? It sucks to give up on someone like Christian Watson, who is A, as talented as him, and B, in such a good, one of the best passing offenses. But you can't feel good about starting him. You're kind of crossing your fingers when you do.
Yeah, it's Christian Watson here, 100% for me. Like you guys mentioned, I think Hopkins is a prime trade candidate for this team. But also like he just hasn't got he hasn't been 100% healthy so far this year. He hasn't really gotten to play a full gamut of snaps in any game. Highest snap share on the season, 72.4%. And Rome, I think he was a rookie in the NFL. We just got the bye week. I think the best of Rome is still ahead of him this year.
Yes. Yes.
So it's pretty easily Christian Watson for me. He's in my mind the probably fourth most talented pass catcher in that room.
Yeah. That's tough to hear, man. I was such a high Christian Watson guy coming out as well. I have
really fast.
I was really such fast. An anti-Watson guy that I kind of had to be like I had to get in on Watson a little bit and like ride or die for him. And now it's just like, okay, yeah, he's just not that good.
I think he's better than Romeo. I for whatever reason, they just want to play. Like, I think Romeo's a better pass blocker and better player, but Watson's a better pass catcher, if that makes sense. So Romeo's just out there more.
Yeah. Dobbs wasn't even one of the guys that I said was saying is more talented than him.
Yeah.
It's I think Wicks is better as a separator. Obviously, he's got to figure out how his hands work and that he's supposed to catch the ball and not swat it to the ground.
Watson's much better at that anyway.
Bingo.
Yeah, sure.
But Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed, like those are the guys in the offense, especially with Jacobs there and his ability to catch passes. Not always going to go for a touchdown, as we very much know.
Almost never go for a touchdown.
But I like there's just so many guys that I think are more talented than Watson. I don't want anything to do with him this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, right in lockstep with us as well. Cut Watson slightly over D-Hop. Yeah, I'm with you. And let's get to the cut one tight end here. Isaiah Likely or Pat Freiermuth, gentlemen. Isaiah Likely, point per game, tight end 13 currently. And in games without a touchdown this season, he has failed to reach 5 PPR points in all 5 games. So it's pretty much touchdown or bust here for Isaiah Likely. Meanwhile, Pat Freiermuth, you guys know my love for Muth. I got him back here on the wall. I got a jersey of him in the closet as well. Points per game, tight end 15. But he's kind of, just been mid, like he hasn't burned you. He's only burned you once really this season, getting under 6 PPR points. However, he has maxed out at 16.7 PPR points. So lower ceiling than Likely, but higher floor. How do you play this one, Jake?
I'm cutting Likely. The man has 29 targets on the season, and 12 of them came in one game. And that was a game where Mark Andrews wasn't 100%. He saw the most double coverage he'd seen since becoming the starting tight end. Likely is not as good as people love to prop him up to be every single year. And Pat will at least be on the field. If I look at a play, I'm expecting to see Pat Freiermuth out there. If I see Isaiah Likely, I'm a little shocked, especially with Andrews, finally catching his gear again.
I think he's getting healthy. I think he's I really think there was some bad, honestly, listen, big J journalism guy here, got the degree. I promise you that, but kind of fucked the beat reporters in Baltimore, because I feel like they weren't telling us everything we need to know about Mark Andrews coming into the season. Like, he wasn't fully healthy here. So
he
I'm
had
with
that
you.
car accident. Like,
that's what I'm saying. It
was a bad car wreck. Like, it was enough that it made news when it happened.
Right.
Yeah, that plus the tightrope surgery. Like, we're seeing that it takes guys longer than anticipated to get back to 100% after that. But he looks good. I didn't even think Andrews looked bad in that game where Likely got 12 targets, but Likely just can't earn targets if there's anybody else of note on the field.
It's also an issue in Baltimore, and you have to realize this. If Mark Andrews is the target guy there, everyone else, it's like Mark Andrews has 4 catches, and everyone else has one.
Other than Zay, Zay.
Even Zay didn't get that many this week, though. How many catches did he have? He had one.
Well, he got banged up a little bit too. I think that was
probably... but Zay will get his, but Bateman, he gets a couple catches, and then Aguilar gets a couple catches, and then Justice Hill gets a couple catches, and then
it's already a small pie too to begin with.
It's a small pie to begin with, and then the guy who's in section 3, row C, seat 4 gets a catch, and it's just one after another, some random fucking guy coming into the game, and you're like, I thought he was dead. And he's not. He's catching passes for the Ravens.
Yes, I agree with you 100% there. Michael in the chat saying cut Likely. Andrew's starting to come on. Likely is a fab buster. Yeah, I blew a shit ton of fab for him in one league in week 1. Dave Njoku, I had him go down in a couple leagues, so I needed a
That's
tight end.
exactly what happened to me. That's exactly
I will
what
say
happened to me.
after week 2, I was able to move him and Michael Pittman for Kelsey, so I'm still feeling okay about that. But yeah, 100% likely was a week 1 reaction. Ben saying in the chat as well. So yeah. Before we move on here to some other Cut One questions, I did want to plug our website really quickly, inbetweenmedia.com. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, we have a ton of content coming out for you each and every week, whether that's fantasy football, NFL betting, college football betting, also NASCAR, PGA. Steve and Jake are doing a great job over on the entertainment side. Jake, you just wrote a review of the Mendez brothers. I think here, was that a Netflix series here just recently?
Yep, Netflix series made by it's a continuation of the Monster series, which featured Jeffrey Dahmer the first time around. It's all right. It's read the article. You'll get the full opinions on it. But
I appreciate your
first half of the show really good. But read for my review on the second half of the season. You'll understand why it goes downhill.
Yeah, and Steve, you're of course leading the entertainment side, but also you dropped your first mock draft of the season as well. So I was excited to see that out there. So just a lot of great overall content there coming from the site. We also have our dynasty trade value chart as well. It's a tool that our guy Joseph Griffin does. He ranks and gives values. And even like, hey, I saw some messages earlier today in the chat, like, hey, what should I offer for Chris Godwin? What's his value now? Like, Joseph updates that every single week, so make sure you guys are checking that out as well. It's inbetweenmedia.com, and also easiest way to support us here on the channel, just subscribe, come back, hang out with us again. We're live every Tuesday night, 9:35 p.m. Eastern time. We also have a bunch of other programs here to check out as well. But gentlemen, let's get some.
All the cool kids are doing it.
I hope they are, man. If not, we appreciate you either way just for tuning in and that the algorithm brought you to us. Let's go ahead though. Let's get to some Cut One questions. Cut One movie franchise here, gentlemen. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, the Star Wars universe, Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings. Jake, I'm coming to you first, man. Don't let me down here. I just started rewatching the Harry Potters recently to get in that spooky season feeling. I gotta say, they're excellent. They're excellent, my friend.
They are. I got a tattoo of 3 of the universes on this list.
No, you don't.
I'm cutting the one that I don't have, which is Star Wars.
Where do you have them on? Your butt?
One on my chest, 2 on my leg.
Okay.
Can I ask? Because I'm going to judge you if the answer is yes. Is one of them a Deathly Hallows symbol?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, fuck you.
My friend asked if I wanted to get matching tattoos, and I was really drunk, and my brother's partner had a tattoo gun, so I got a tattoo.
Fair enough.
Oh, so
that's actually most of my tattoos have been done by my brother's partner.
Drunk.
Yeah.
Steve, what about for you, man? Who are you cutting here?
I'm cutting Lord of the Rings. This is a no-brainer.
Thank you.
This is a no-brainer. Listen. All right. Let me justify this by saying, number one, I only have bad feelings for Lord of the Rings because I've only ever watched those movies against my will because I always got sick when I was in school, in high school, forever ago. I would always get the flu right around like April vacation, and for some reason, TNT used to air the trilogy in marathon reruns over and over again. And it was always at this time of year. It was really weird. So I'd get the flu, and inevitably it was always at the same time that the Lord of the Rings was on TNT. And it was the only thing that I could fall asleep to. So I'd just throw it on in the background and then fall asleep. So I just associated with having the flu. It's also really boring. And there's way too much lore that they try to pack into it that doesn't work. I don't understand anything that's happening. I never and don't even get me started on the Hobbit franchise because that was a mess. They took a book that's 150 pages and made it into 3 movies. I read the first Lord of the Rings book. That was a slog fest to get through. That franchise can go, and I'd be happy to see it leave.
I need to rewatch The Lord of the Rings because I only watched it when I think I was too young to really understand what was happening in it. And the little creepy guy.
I was about to say, I hope Gollum haunts your dreams tonight, Steve.
Yes.
That little weird thing, that also adds nothing to the movie to me. I'm
then you aren't paying attention.
No, you're not, because the movie's 7 hours long. You can't possibly hold my attention for that long.
Yeah, you
That's
can.
My point.
Go eat a gummy.
And I'm going to go a step further here. I'm going to go a step further here. I'll put these right in order. Number 1, the MCU is king. Then it goes to the Star Wars franchise. Then it goes to the Harry Potter movies. Not because I don't like Harry Potter. I read the books. And because I'm so loyal to the books, the movies are atrocious. Like after the first 3, they really fall off a cliff because they're just too fucking long of books to make into movies. I have a whole spiel about that. And then like Lord of the Rings is so far below the
Steve,
rest
this
of them.
isn't a game. I didn't ask you to rank them. I said cut one, and you rank them.
I don't give a fuck.
This ain't rank them. This is a little off the top. We cut one. I do want to catch up here with the chat though. RGQ saying, is Harry Potter Halloween / Thanksgiving / Christmas movie?
Yes.
Yes.
All of the above. Yeah,
yes,
it is.
I was trying to have this conversation with my girlfriend recently, and we were like, is it a Halloween movie? Is it a Christmas movie? Or is it just an anytime movie? It's always good time for Harry Potter, man. It's
a cozy season movie.
Whoever wants to call me Harry Potter in the chat as well, like feel free to. I just got burned. I was looking at some comments on a recent Fantasy Pros episode, and yeah, I got Harry Potter a couple times.
Someone called you Harry Potter?
Yeah, and that was one of my best friends has called me that my whole life. So it was a real kick in the dick, but I'm all right with that. If that is
Sorry, buddy.
Hey man, listen, Daniel Radcliffe, successful actor, so I'm feeling good about it either way. Michael shouting out draft night out that we host the Fantasy Football Expo every single year. Absolutely. If you guys are out in Canton, Ohio for the Fantasy Football Expo, make sure you're stopping out. We're going to post some more updates. We're going to do a bunch of new things here at draft night out here this next year. So make sure you guys are tuning in and checking us out there as well. I'm seeing some more questions coming in fantasy related. We're going to get to a couple more entertainment related questions here, and then we'll jump over to those as well. Cut one, family friendly Halloween movie, Hocus Pocus, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Casper, or Halloween Town. Steve, who we cutting?
Casper. That's an easy one for me.
I like Casper.
There's a real divide. Like it's Halloween Town or Casper. One of those have to go. One of those have to go.
No.
What do you think, Jake?
No, we're cutting Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus is garbage.
That's a bad take. That's just a bad take.
Bad take.
That's
not a bad
trash
take.
That's an awful take.
What don't you like about Hocus Pocus?
Everything.
I so regret bringing you into this company now. Like I like as your boss, I demand you stop talking.
Last
I don't follow the rules.
Last year was my first time revisiting the Sanderson sisters, and I gotta be be honest, it was awesome. Like
it is awesome. It's a great movie. Anyone who doesn't like Hocus Pocus, they have issues. I
think I said this last year around this time, but when I was a kid, I didn't like Hocus Pocus because I never made it through the first 10 minutes because it was really scary. Kind of starting, like you see the one girl die, like and the kid turn into the cats, like kind of
kid.
But like. I love the Salem location of it. I love everything about it. I'm sad that I haven't had it more in my life. My kids will definitely have it when I have kids and in their life. Halloween Town, most fucking slept on Halloween franchise there is, though. You can miss me on Halloween Town 2. It kind of drags a little bit, but Halloween Town 3, Halloween Town 4, Halloween Town 1, like awesome. Like my tradition, I've said this probably on this show and in some of my columns as well. Like every year we catch carve pumpkins and we watch Halloween Town. That's our tradition. So
I realized I said Hocus Pocus. I was talking about Halloween Town.
No,
Halloween Town is what I hate.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's 1,000%. That's totally justifiable. Hocus Pocus. I'm like, who doesn't like that movie? It's great. It has Bette Midler. It has Sarah Jessica Parker. I'm like, what's not to like about that movie?
Yeah,
like,
I was definitely talking about Halloween Town.
Like that song that Bette Midler bangs out in the middle of that movie for no reason whatsoever is just an absolute banger.
True. That good. Good point on that.
We stand Bette Midler in this house.
Yeah, we do. Like slay Mama House boots down. Like we're here for Bette Midler.
Our GQ saying bye Halloween Town. Nino saying Hocus Pocus overrated. Doesn't like the disrespect for Casper either.
Casper's good.
Nino has bad movie taste. Like that's what I'm gonna say right now. Like,
hey, easy. Nino's a long-time subscriber, Steve. You do not.
That's fine. Like, listen, you're gonna show up here. You're gonna throw shade like that on a show, like while I have the microphone? Absolutely not.
He thinks he has the microphone. Nino, I got you, brother. I got you. Steve, out of this, John. No, I'm just kidding. We'll throw him back in. All right, here. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't like Nightmare Before Christmas too. Never like I'm not a big Tim Burton guy, but I also have trash taste and shit. So,
You do.
yeah. So, yeah. Michael asking what family movie
Hocus
he should
Pocus.
watch tonight.
Hocus
Hocus Pocus,
Pocus.
Halloween Town. Yeah, get start with Hocus Pocus and go to Halloween Town next. If you're doing a little
skip over that
marathon.
one, go right to Casper.
If we didn't bring up Casper on the show, everyone would have forgot it existed. It's not a good movie.
Never forget about Casper the Friendly Ghost. Okay.
I always throw Casper on. That is my secondary TV, usually like when a primetime game is on. And I usually, like, if it's a good primetime game, I don't hear a lot of the dialogue happening in Casper. So that's another one. I think I need to go back and like rewatch the full thing with the actual volume up, because I'm usually just like glancing up here and there. But
Fine.
Hubie's Halloween. A lot of people like this fucking movie. Do you guys like that? You guys are
I hate
the critics.
So hot take. I hate when Adam Sandler does the idiot roles.
It's been overdone.
I like the idiot roles. That movie 100% just felt like, all right, I need to give Netflix a movie for my 50 million this year. Here's what I'm going to give them.
Yeah.
I think it was like his revenge movie after, like, because he said if he didn't get an Oscar for Uncut Gems, he was going to put out like the worst movie he could. And I think Hubie Halloween was like his attempt at that.
Nino said, did you guys already do your favorite slasher? So Steve actually wanted us to do this question, but I don't watch slasher or horror movies. As you can see,
Seth was a little bitch boy.
I still am, buddy. I still am, my friend. Don't you worry.
I was too scared to watch the beginning of Hocus Pocus. The first movie I ever remember watching, this will tell you a lot about me, is The Exorcist. That's the first movie I have burned into my brain as like a 5-year-old. Thank you, Uncle Joel. Love you so much.
Meanwhile, in the NBA, Mr. Scamper saying LeBron and Bronny checking into the game, I think in overtime, their first time ever. So
in overtime, they chose to do that? What a weird time to do that.
Wow. Yeah.
Do you want
to answer the slasher question, though, my favorite slasher of all time is Scream.
Mine's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's a great choice. That's a great fucking choice.
RGQ
Just think
saying
it's not Thanksgiving.
RGQ
not Thanksgiving.
No comment. Watch.
I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what this is. All right.
You should watch it.
RGQ saying slashers need some comedy and Scream provides it all. Yeah, I agree with you there. Okay. Scamper saying second quarter, not overtime. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us and still tuning into your Lakers as well, Scampers. All right. Last question here for us, gentlemen. Cut one seasonal drink: Busch Light Apple, Sam's Adams Oktoberfest, spiked apple cider. Jake, I know you're a little bit of a beer connoisseur here. What are you cutting?
Cutting Sam Adams here. Their Oktoberfest is the worst representation of a good Oktoberfest. If you go to your local brewery, whichever one is the closest one to you, and get their Oktoberfest beer, it's going to be infinitely better than Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
My uncle brews beer. You think he makes better Oktoberfest?
I guarantee it. I guarantee it's so overrated. One of my friends was he just moved here. He just started getting into beer. Like, he's been a whiskey guy his whole life, and he was so excited to get Sam Adams Oktoberfest. And then he had it, and he was like, that was fine. I was like, here's 6 different random ones out of my beer fridge. And he's like, these are all better. I was like, thank you.
I think you're onto something. Like, I love the Sam Adams Summer Lager. That's like a good summer beer to me. And I'm not really a big craft guy. I'm more of a, your classic domestic light beer guy. But I recently just had Oktoberfest at the bar watching some college football on Saturday with one of my buddies, and not great. Like, I was actually like a little, like, he was the first one to order one. So yeah, I'll just, I was thinking about that. I'll just go with that as well. Not the best. And I have to say this, like, I think spiked apple cider is a little overrated too. Like, I'm glad it's out there for people who like it, and I think I like the vibe of it, but I just like apple cider as is. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I'm bad at this question because I don't really drink anything. I like, every time we get these alcohol questions, I'm like, I don't drink. So I would say, like, I probably would go with Busch Light because I don't like Busch Light anything. So
the flavored Busch Lights are
they good? I've never had them.
Okay.
I've never had them. So
okay.
Like I've had a Busch Light, and like I think that's just like piss water. So like, yeah.
Steve, I just let you back on the program. I'm not gonna kick you off yet, but listen.
I don't again, I don't really like to drink, and like this is not because like I had a problem or anything. It's just I find alcohol to be kind of nasty in general.
Sure.
And so I just don't like. I don't know, but Busch Light, like if I'm gonna put alcohol in my body, like it's not gonna be Busch Light.
It will be Busch Light. You work for In Between Media, my friend. Here's my take on Busch Light Apple. First of all, fuck Busch Light for putting out the tweet they did the other day. It was just hey, happy National Apples Day, and it was Busch Light Apple, which I hadn't seen in a long time. And I said in that tweet, which I will say again to the world, if anyone has it, I will buy a goddamn pallet of Busch Light Apple today. I will. I mean,
for the love of God, people, get this man his Busch Light Apple.
We can just Jake, I'm glad to hear you like the peach, because to me, like, it was just a no from me. Like, it was
the
good.
Peach is. I still had like 6 cases of it.
Why did I have to skip past my fucking slasher discussion and you guys get to like drone on about beer for 10 minutes?
Hold on. This is a debate. Go, Jake. Go on.
The Busch Light Peach revolutionized like citrusy-esque beers in a way that had not happened in forever.
Agreed.
In the main space, Apple was good. Peach was a game changer.
No, okay.
There's other apple beers. There's not really any other peach beers.
Okay, that's true, but like to me, it's about drinkability. And on a Saturday when I'm crushing beers and I might have a dozen of them, I can't do the peach. Like I can mix in 4 to 5 of them.
I've drank 30 in a day. I could do all of them.
I'm so far out of my element here. Like this is not like the conversation. Why am I even here? Like why am I even in this?
All I will say, and Jake, you're from a different area of the country of me. All my redneck buddies feel the same about as I do. It is Busch Light Apple for the win. We love it. We'll buy all of it right now, but we're out on the peach. Just it doesn't even make my rotation. I'll do an icy light mango before that. No way.
All my redneck buddies love them both.
1,000% right.
Oh, we got Ben saying Steve about 5 seconds away from grabbing a whiteboard and talking about slasher on
like
camera.
We'll go into a side chat.
RQ saying what's more scary than all our fantasy teams this year? Everyone dropping like flies. Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's go ahead though. I wanted to get to a couple more questions here before we round out the program. I saw people drop. Lucius asking, had an owner send me a trade offer, was given Mixon for CMC. He's 7-0 in his league, and he already has Jordan Mason. Would you do this? I'm not doing that. No way. I'm not giving up Mixon for CMC. Mixon is top 5 running back right now, when healthy, and like you already have Jordan Mason, who, I mean, is at least if CMC comes back, you have the handcuff. Jake, you doing this move?
No, it's crazy to say no because CMC is CMC, but I think even when he comes back, like I think their goal is to just be good enough to make the playoffs and not have like maybe they'll lean on CMC then, but I think by the time he gets like a true legit like CMC level workload, we're going to be in fantasy playoffs or it's going to be the NFL playoffs. Like I just don't imagine we see it early enough to matter. And like you said, Mixon's been so good this year when healthy that there's just no reason.
I agree. I 1,000% agree. Can I just like throw this out real quick? This is like the best chat we've had on like any show I've been on for the IBT podcast.
It's been popping.
This chat has been fucking lit. Like, great job, guys. Like y'all fucking showed up.
Thank you. Yeah, I honestly can't keep up with it. And of course, it's the night that Kyle's out here. So I'm also trying to do the producing. But appreciate everyone. Thank you so much, Lucius. Good to see you as always, man. Nino saying, I'm pretty worried about Kupp right now with his health and trade rumors. Would you send Kupp plus Smitty? I'm guessing that's Devonta Smith. I've never heard him called that, but that's actually kind of a great nickname for Mixon plus one of these 3 wide receivers, Keon Coleman, Darnell Mooney, or Pop Douglas. So you'd be sending Kupp and Smitty for Mixon and one of those wide receivers. Who are your wide receivers, Nino? If you're still with us, man, let us know in the chat who your wide receivers are, because you are giving up 2 good wide receivers. We are hearing potential rumors about Kupp being traded. So I don't know. I don't know. Like, I would like Mixon. I think Mixon is the best player in this trade, right, Steve, that you would be getting back?
Yeah, it depends on what you got going on at the running back position. If you're sitting there and you're like, I'm strapped at running back and I'm not doing good there, yeah, you do this trade. If not, maybe not. It's not like Smith has been doing great, which is kind of surprising. And then Cup, like if he does get traded, his value takes such a hit because no one's going to give him the targets that Matt Stafford's going to give him. So, and that's not a talent thing. That's just a flat out like target share issue. Yeah, I think it depends on your situation. If your running back's just whack, then yeah, take it.
Would you do that trade, Jake?
I would like we're saying here. I would need to know a little bit more about the roster as a whole.
Cup, Diggs, Godwin, Brian Thomas Jr., Juju, Wandale.
Yeah, I'm not making a move for Mixon and Mooney. Mooney would be my preferred guy as the throw-in for that trade, but I'd rather just keep Cup and Smitty just because your wide receiver room is kind of in shambles right now.
Yeah,
although Brian Thomas Jr. he's pretty good.
You'd pretty much be left with
wrong, but
you'd be left with BTJ and Diggs, and that's pretty much it. So I think that's kind of the issue there. So yeah,
I agree. Sit tight. Unless I don't know.
Danny asking, hey guys, Jane Daniels is hurt. Gotta drop either Laporta or Zay Flowers to get a new quarterback. What do you think? Or risk it on Mahomes?
Risk it on Mahomes.
Either risk it on Mahomes or just wait until Daniels is officially ruled out and pick up Mariota real quick.
Yeah, like you can't drop either. Tell us how many teams.
Can't drop either of those guys.
Yeah, you can't, Danny. It does, like even in a 10-team league, I'm not dropping either of those guys. So just risk it with Mahomes, man. Like it's still Patrick Mahomes. He's been dog shit this year for you, but
it's been dog shit in general.
I wouldn't imagine, honestly, I'm saying this as a Bears fan, like the Bears defense has been absolutely insane this year. I wouldn't even be confident in Daniels having a good game against us.
Yeah.
And that's as a guy who is relying on Daniels in a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
I would be looking for a different starter this week regardless. But
I wouldn't. I'm starting Jaden Daniels. Just fire him up all the way. But just roll with Patrick Mahomes. Take your lumps this week. Don't drop either of those guys.
Yeah, agree. If you're gonna drop anyone, drop fucking Mahomes and pick someone else up. Then if you really, if you really don't want to stop Mahomes, like you can't. Yeah. Blue Yates. We actually answered this question a little bit earlier in the show for you. Maybe go back about maybe a half hour, 45 minutes. You'll find it in there.
Quick synopsis is we all agree. We like it. Good move.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed with you there. I think we had one more question in here. I'm trying to find that someone put in. I just want to make sure we aren't missing anyone.
I like that we got a lot of slasher love in this chat. I just want to point that out. Whoever said Jeepers Creepers, by the way, yes to that. That is an underrated movie.
Good one. Never seen Jeepers Creepers. Is that super scary? Is that super scary?
Yeah, do you want to like fucking come over? I'll protect you. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I mean, what the fuck, man?
Dude, listen, man.
I just saw Terrifier 3 in theaters.
I've seen enough scary shit in my real life.
Go watch Terrifier 3 in theaters.
Yep.
It'll get you over all your fear of slashers.
It's so good.
It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up.
It's so good though.
Every second of it.
Michael asking, will CMC or Mason/Garendo be a better combo in Dynasty next year?
CMC.
Yeah. Give him a year to get back, man. And like, you still want CMC, right? And like Mason, I think Mason probably only has 1 year left on his rookie deal after this too. So he could be a guy that people give up something for to potentially, if they get him in a trade, maybe next year, 49ers ship him off, or maybe he just leaves in free agency in a couple of years. So I don't hate Mason from a dynasty lens, but CMC gotta keep rolling with him, man, in dynasty, 100%.
It's the epitome of that 49er scheme. It's the reason like Jeff Wilson's been relevant. Matt Breida was relevant. Mostert gained relevant. Like, if you're fast and can get to the edge or just read one hole correctly a game, like you're going to be a good running back. And it's Shanahan. He'll keep drafting a different dude in the third round every year until one of them turns out to be good.
Agreed. RGQ asking here, mine was drop Mooney or Wandale for Keenan Allen. He's on waivers right now. Half-point PPR.
I'm not doing that.
Leave him there.
It's a great schedule for the Bears, though, coming up. That is the one thing you got to keep in mind.
I don't know. I don't trust Keenan Allen to turn it around. The target share isn't there, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
he's just not getting that many targets.
Yeah, it's a too many mouths to feed situation. Like, Rome is really good. You got DJ Moore. Komet has been coming on as of late. Now that they realize that Gerald Everett is dust. the running backs are going to catch some passes. Like the ball's just going to go all over the place. Like you're praying for 5 targets.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just like Mooney's been super solid. Like, he's getting 8 to 10 targets a game at times. So when the Falcons at least have to air it out. So keep Mooney. Same with Wandale, dude. Like, he had a down game, I know, this past week, but he's still getting like 8 targets per game, even in his down week as well. So don't panic on those guys quite yet. Can't thank everyone enough for tuning in with us. Again, if you enjoyed this type of content, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the whole channel. Come back, hang out with us again. Make sure you guys are checking out everything Steve and Jake are doing here on the program. They have popcorn and root beer. That is their entertainment betting program. So if you guys like movies, you want to make money off of it and TV, it's a great program to do so. Jake, I think you already hit your one bet you called out with that Slasher 3 movie, correct?
Yeah,
Terrifier, yeah.
Terrifier, yeah. I gassed it. I put it. It may have already been confirmed by the time that the episode's coming out, but when I put it on the sheet, it was still a guess, but I got it right. So we're one for one there.
Let's go.
I loved it. I had to go see it. I just had
it's
to.
So good.
Blue Yay saying thanks, went back and checked on your responses. You nailed it pretty much exactly 45 minutes back. Got my sub and my like. Cheers, boys.
Oh,
thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Nino saying great show, guys. Thank you so much, man. RGQ saying enjoy the pod and the stream, liked and sub. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you, man. We appreciate you as always. Also, Michael saying, can you show the site in the screen now, Seth, please? Don't have my screen share pulled up here yet, but inbetweenmedia.com, Michael, make sure you just go ahead and check it out over there. We appreciate you doing so. Jake, what else do you have going on here, man? I know you're also plugged in with JWB over there, so love to hear a little bit more what you have going on there and your personal Twitter as well.
Yes, sir. So my personal Twitter is at Perry_FF. You can see all of my content reshared on there. But over at JWB, currently in season, doing our weekly sleeper show. We record that every Tuesday, typically drop by Thursday. Every Thursday from 12 to 1 Central Standard Time, we are doing our Crushing the Competition series, which is where FF Tyler O, who's a top 5 ranker on Fantasy Pros so far this year, him and I go through and we break down every single game, pick, and answer questions all along the way, and then sprinkling in some Dynasty content throughout the year as well with our Dynasty Digest show. And then everything else I do is pretty much over here with In Between Media, except for my Dungeons and Dragons podcast, which is called Knights of the Appropriately Shaped Table, which you can find right here on YouTube and all major streaming platforms.
Let's go. How do you have time for everything, man? You're a jack of all.
I got a lovely wife who lets me come and do this stuff while she takes care of the dogs.
What's her name?
Jess.
Shout out Jess. Shout out
Jess.
We appreciate you. Michael asking for the link to root beer and popcorn. Just drop that in the chat for you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. Make sure you're checking in with Steve and Jake. Steve, you got anything else popping off other than losing to me here in the last week in Pros with Joes?
Nope, I don't have anything else. I put that solely on my partner Erica. That's all her fault. And popcorn and root beer. Yeah, we're building some entertainment betting. Jake and I are doing take 2. We're gonna be going. I'm gonna talk to him about maybe we may be going live this week on Thursday night. And then you can find my stuff on IBT. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to hear my idiotic stream of consciousness from everything under the sun. And more than that, you'll usually find me here on Tuesday nights.
Fuck yeah. We appreciate you as always, Steve. Scamper saying shout out, guys. Have a great night. Have a great night to you as well, Scampers. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Enjoy week 8. Crush it. Make the most of it. We only have so many weeks left in the season. Until next week, you know what to do, y'all. Keep it in between. Thank you.